Welcome to Ask Earl Anything. This is a show where your questions make the show, and without questions, I don't have a show. Now, this is for the month of September 2024. Last month, my Ask Earl Anything show was kind of in the middle of the month, so I didn't get as many questions. Normally, I have 30 days worth of questions to kind of make a show, but this is kind of a special show in a lot of ways. I don't need a lot of questions. I don't really want it to be too long either. I want it to be kind of a normal half-hour kind of Ask Earl Anything. But I do have a bunch of things I want to cover today. First off, I was a little ominous yesterday when I released a song my Sunday. The month of August has been kind of a dark month. You know, it goes without saying. I don't have to say that, of course, my son passed away 5 years ago in August, so this month is always a little tough. It's also a birthday month for me, and the older you get, the less you want birthdays. But even more so than that, I think that YouTube has, I'm at a place in YouTube where I'm not sure what I want to do in a lot of respects. And I think that you guys that watch my shows and watch my videos faithfully, you can and comment all the time and like my videos. I think I'm doing it more for you these days than myself. And that's kind of where I'm at now. I have to kind of dial myself back a little bit and find the right amount of content to put out each week without overdoing it for myself and my life. Business life is quite busy. Home life, quite busy. And as my wife is getting more opportunities to talk and speak, and we're getting more opportunities to do things and travel, especially outside of this COVID world that we were living in for such a period of time, I think that making covers every weekend becomes a lot harder for me, and I've been trying to keep up the crazy content. I had a friend years ago told me, you know, you don't need to put out a video every day. And I think I need to listen to those people. But it's really hard for me to do that when I got so many people that love what I do and let me know it. So I don't want to disappoint those people, if you know what I mean. And you are those people. You're the ones that watch this show. In actuality, my videos are not getting any more views than anybody else's videos these days. If you are not a million, if you're not one of these YouTube channels with 1 million subscribers or 100,000 subscribers, don't expect to get in the thousands rather quickly. Like every once in a while I get a video that gets a pop and it gets in the 500-600 range within the first couple weeks. And those are usually the videos that are popular enough that people are looking for songs, and they will grow over time. But I still don't have a video that's got over 100,000 views yet. So with that being said, if that's my goal to be big, then I got a problem. Now, I do know there are guys out there on YouTube that there is ways to get your videos out there to people. And if you're making original content and you want to make money off of it, like I know a couple drummers that are doing that, getting it out there, using the services that are of certain marketing people to help you get it out there is a great way to grow your channel and start making some money from your content. But making money from my content really isn't my goal. To be honest, I really realized that making money from content is really, it's not going to ever be what my goal is. My goal has always been an outlet for me to play drums, an outlet for me to have community with other drummers, and a place to watch myself improve, get better, challenge myself. That's the other thing. I have to not be afraid to challenge myself by doing something once in a while that's a little outside my norm. Because, I could play certain songs in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm done, great cover, get 100, 200 views. Maybe it'll be one of those ones that gets 10,000 views over time because it's a popular song people love. But that's not satisfying. I got to do things that are satisfying to me. And that means I need to challenge myself. And I need to not be afraid to challenge myself, because I'm trying to make great content and make sure that people watch my content, and I'm worried about what people are going to say about my content. So I don't have enough subs to be worried about that, and I'm never going to have enough subs to be worried about that I can tell. And for me right now, I need to change. I need to change gears a little bit in YouTube. That does not mean I'm leaving. That just means you'll see less content. And when you see content, it's going to be content I want to do. You guys all know I have my faith-based songs that I love, and those are all very important to me, by the way. Every CCM song I put out are songs that I love. That's why I put them out. They're songs that touch me. I rarely do songs in the current CCM vein that don't touch me. Because if they don't touch me, then I don't really want to do them. So the songs I put out in that CCM vein are mine. They're the ones I love. They're the songs that minister to me and the words say something to me. When I do bands like the Carpenters in Chicago, those are bands I love. Those are drummers I love emulating. And that's why I do that music. Now, I do have a group of you that asked me to do specific songs, and I've been trying to do it. And I've got one, I don't know if it's so much a question or a comment, but I'm going to give you a picture of why I'm kind of feeling the way I'm feeling about this in a second when I go to that. But before I get started in the question comment section of it, here's a couple things I wanted to say. Number one, there are two guys that are really close to 1,000 subscribers today that I'm doing this show. One of them could get over 1,000 subscribers this week. Both of them could get over 1,000 subscribers this week. The first one is Mike Lewis. Mike Lewis is from Canada. He's a great drummer. He's not a young kid drummer. He's not somebody who's pushing himself, but he's a great drummer. So check him out. I'm going to leave a little, I don't leave links. What I leave is at Mike Lewis, whatever they are. Click on it. Go into his channel. Check him out. He plays a lot of great music. Very hard music, too. He's got an interesting setup. He's got an interesting concept of why he plays drums that way. I'm sure he's never really talked about it that I've seen. But his covers are amazing. And he's about 5 or 6 subscribers from getting over 1,000 subscribers. So if you couple you guys that love to watch me would just go to his channel and sub him, that would be great. The other person is a guy that comments on my videos regularly. It's CCM Drummer. Many of you have subbed him, but he's within the last 6 or 7 subscribers to get over 1,000. And I would love for you to help CCM Drummer get over 1,000 subscribers. I actually had 2 other accounts, and I subbed him on those 2 other accounts recently. I'm trying to find a way to help him out, get over the 1,000 subscribers. Why is that important? Well, 1,000 subscribers gets you pushed a little bit differently. I don't think my next push is till 10,000. And to be honest, I'll get there at some point just because of all the videos I have. That's the other thing about YouTube. The more videos you have, the more opportunity you have for actually getting subscribers. So I think all the video content I put out helps that. Another person I want to mention, this was mentioned by KM Ken Drum Kelly. He's featured 2 other drummers. One has I don't think he even has close to 1,000 subscribers. It's Gunther. Gunther's channel, I'm trying to think what he goes by. I just know him as Gunther. But he does a lot of jazz type covers. I'll give a link. I'll put a link into him too. Help him out. But the other person I was watching it today was my friend Toby, 11 Drums. And 11 Drums is going to have more subscribers than me because he works really, really hard at getting subs, and he's really encouraging. He always encourages me, always watches my videos. I appreciate that. I appreciate anybody that watches my videos. Matter of fact, here's a new thing for you all. I know some of you don't like to write comments or stuff, but I would tell you something. If you would just leave a emoticon, if you liked my video, like your thumbs up, you don't even have to put the like. I mean, I'd love to have you like my video, But if you don't want to like my video, if you just left a little emoticon saying, hey, I was here, or a, I don't know, smiley face, or a drum, and if you don't want to write a comment, just do that. That'd be great. It's great for my channel. It's called engagement for YouTube. And it would let me know that I'm on the right track. And if you don't like it, maybe put a thumbs down and say, I didn't dig this one. It's okay. I can't please everybody. But, you know, one of the things that motivates me to do more work and to work hard, and what things has kept me in the game for so long doing these daily covers, is all of you. Without you guys, I wouldn't do this, to be honest. I would have stepped it back about a year ago. I've been talking about this for a year. It's coming. Anyhow, Mike Lewis, sub his channel. Please sub CCM Drummer. Also check out Toby if you don't know Toby. 11 Drums, and Gunther's channel, which is called, I don't know, I'll put it up. There'll be a picture of Gunther's channel. You will see it, so you'll know what I'm talking about in a minute. Couple other things. I actually talked to some of you guys offline. One of the guys I talked to is Jim Hoovy. Jim flies too. And Jim was asking me to talk about pinstripe heads. And he asked me, we were talking one day about pinstripe heads because he bought a bunch of knockoff pins. And we were talking about the difference between an Encore pin, which is the cheaper Chinese-made heads or Taiwan-made heads, versus the regular pinstripes. And because, you know, I had pins on my concert toms for a year and a half probably. So we were talking about the pinstripes, and then we were also talking about how the pinstripes have changed, how the pinstripe heads have become more higher pitched or more punchy and forward, where the old pins back when I started playing pinstripe heads were kind of like dead heads, almost like Evans hydraulic heads, where they were kind of duh. And I said to Jim when I was talking to him, I said, oh, it was that Cymbal. I'll tell you about that in a minute too. When I was talking to Jim, I said that I got a bunch of heads a couple years ago from Sweetwater, and one of them was a 15, because I don't have a lot of 15s. I've only had a 15-inch drum for the last 10 years. I haven't bought a lot of heads for it, concert toms. But I bought a 15-inch tom head from Sweetwater, and all the rest of them were really that punchy, newer pin sound. And the other head was an old new stock. It was brand new, but it was old. And the 15 always sounded deader to me. When I put on the concert tom heads, they were deader. Well, I come to find out when I was at the Music City Drum Show in Nashville this year, I was speaking to Brian from Remo, and he told me the story about the new pinstripe heads versus the old pinstripe heads, and how to get the old pinstripe sound from the Remo drum heads that they make today, because they are making that old pinstripe sound, but it's not made in a pinstripe head. So this is Brian from Remo, and he's going to talk to you about pinstripes.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Earl. Earl had a great question. Over 50 years, has the pinstripe changed? It has. It's a little bit more open than it used to be. So if you're looking for that old pinstripe sound, the Power Stroke 4 is the other alternative for that old school pinstripe sound. Thanks for hanging by the Remo booth here.
And you were?
Hi, I'm Brian from Remo.
Brian from Remo. Thank you, Brian from Remo.
All right.
And Power Stroke 4, Pinstripe, Emperor, and all the other great heads. Thank you, Brian from Remo.
All right, like Brian from Remo just said, if you want the old school pinstripe heads, and this is for Jim Hoovy, if you want the old school pinstripe heads, you have to buy the Power Stroke 4 heads. Now, I don't see a lot of Power Stroke 4 heads anywhere. You see pinstripes usually in music stores. But Power Stroke 4s are going to give you that old, deep, fat pinstripe sound from the 80s. And if you want the newer pinstripe sound, which is a little bit more mid-rangey, I would say, you go with the new pinstripes. So anyhow, that was something I learned at the Music City Drum Show. I didn't even include Brian in my Music City Drum Show review, so I really wanted to include him today and thank him for talking to me at the Music City Drum Show. As you could hear, it was a cacophony of sound. Lots of drummers just banging away right while I'm trying to talk to them. So that was awesome. Thank you, Brian from Remo. The next topic comes from last month's Ask Earl Anything, where I talked about new cymbal smiths. And I told you that I was sending a cymbal to Timothy Roberts of Reverie Drums. Well, I sent the cymbal to Timothy Roberts from Reverie Drums, and Timothy sent back the cymbal. Now, I've got a whole episode of Drum Talk on the new flat top ride, the 20-inch flat ride which was an A Zildjian flat top ride that has been changed and modified by Timothy Roberts. So I've got a whole Drum Talk coming out on this subject, and he actually does the whole process. But I'm going to share with you the first video he sent me of the cymbal and where it was at, when it was at about 2,400 grams.
Hey Earl, so I got the weight is 2,440 grams. Like I said, it was over 3,000 grams when it came in. Basically, what I'm going to talk about in the modification video, or the video that I'm going to send you, of talking about what it was like before and kind of the aim for the mod. I'm going to talk about how this profile is rather bold, fairly umbrella shaped for a ride. Paiste 602s are lower. That's what gives them a little bit more shimmer and a little bit more of a sound instead of a or like a kind of sound, a growl. So the more umbrella shaped a cymbal is, the more growl it's going to have. And so because this one is rather bold, it's going to have more growl, and that also means that the pitch is going to be higher. So the more umbrella shaped, the higher the pitch, which means we can go lower on the weight to get more crashability. So I'm thinking that the final weight should be around 2,200 grams, or maybe even thinner. I like my flats really thin, like 1,800 grams. But Paiste 602s have that nice crystal clear stick, which you only get when it's over 2,000 grams, in my opinion. So this is how it sounds right now. Doesn't have a bad crash, to be honest, and it's got a nice present stick. But that's what I'm going to be talking about in the video that I film later today. Just let me know, because my playing is very light. I play light jazz. I like cymbals that have plenty of stick definition. I don't like paper thin cymbals that wash out, but I like thin cymbals. So for me, I'm gonna look to get this to 2,200. But if you're gonna be playing this flat ride in a rock context, then you might want a little bit more beefiness to it. So
this is the cymbal today. So I did a whole video with Timothy Roberts actually taking us through the process of modifying this cymbal. From the way it sounded when I sent it to him, I had some clips of that, to it coming back, to what we were going after, a Formula 602 kind of vibe cymbal, and also the whole process of the different times he lathed first, and then he lathed the second time, and then he burnished, and then he let it rest, and then he played it, and then he sent it to me, and then my reaction to it. So that video is already made. It's in the can. And that's where this question came from, because I was talking about new cymbal makers. And one of the guys, Offbeat74, said, he said, I think Paul Francis, former Zildjian guy, now with Royal Cymbals, is the man for the heavier Carope. He kind of made all those Zildjian cymbals, and now he's modifying them. So projection is what you're after. So then he says to me, so projection is what you're after. I was talking about how the Carope is just too dark and dead and washy and no definition. That's why I bought this cymbal, this Avedis cymbal. The Avedis got cut, but it's not a heavy cymbal. It's about 2,700 grams, I think, 2,700 grams and change. I do have the Zildjians up today. I just did a cover of a Return to Forever song, 10 minutes long. Nobody will make it past the first minute and a half, but I had a lot of fun with it, playing this cymbal and this flat ride cymbal, which, by the way, the more it rests and the older it gets, the more this cymbal is going to sound the way I really want it to sound, which is opened up, but still has that stick. I was going after a Formula 602 sound. He got it really in there. I mean, for a Zildjian. Now, he'll tell you why he can't get it exactly there. Has to do with the shape of the cymbal, but it's really a cool video. And I'm really so happy he let me, he did this mod for me, but also did the videos for me. So I have something to put out. I'm going to send it back to him, and hopefully he'll use it on his channel someday. But I have my Zildjians up because I was doing a song today. But yeah, I'm looking for cymbals that sound more like Paiste 2002s these days. And the A Zildjians, you know, when you look at the history of cymbals and you look at Paiste coming after Zildjian, what was Paiste going after? Paiste was hearing A Zildjians. They were the popular cymbal of the day. And Paistes, you know, when they got to the 602s, of course, which were kind of like they were B20 cymbals, but they were different sounding than the A's, but they were close. They're close to the A's, you know. Then the 2002s came out with more cut B8 cymbals, and I think the A's, the Formula 602s, the B8 2002 cymbals, they all have cut to them. And I think what we're losing in a lot of the newer cymbals that we're doing today, these jazz cymbals, is a lot of them are so washy and so jazzy, you can only play jazz with them. You can only play that washy jazz stuff, or they're really nasty sounding. So I'm looking for cymbals that you can play and record well. And I think, you know, one of the most well-recorded cymbals of the jazz era of the 70s and 80s was the Paiste Formula 602 cymbals. ECM Records, they did a lot of jazz, and then they started doing the kind of the almost like the Windham Hill kind of jazz. There was a name for it back in the day. But a lot of that jazz was played with Paiste cymbals, 602s. So 602s, of course, Zildjian, A Zildjians were the cymbals of Buddy Rich and Louis Bellson. So I guess I'm coming back to more of that sound is what I'm saying. And the A sound is more my thing than the K sound. Even though I've got a few Ks, I've got those Caropes, but I've been really digging these A's. These A's are really cool. And the A's and the Paistes are in that kind of like frequency range that kind of cuts in there and sits better in the mix. I think the A's record better than the K's. The old K's. I'm not talking about the new K's. The new K's they're nice, but the Caropes were trying to go after the old K thing. They were just too dark for me, and that's what I was going against. Of course, Paul Francis is making real A's too. He's, you know, Royal Cymbals. Paul Francis is a great cymbal maker. You know, I'd love to go to him. But I got to tell you, Timothy Roberts, this modification was well worth it. If you got a cymbal that's like you really hate and it's some really nasty, heavy thing, I'd recommend you send it to him and see if you can get it to where what you're looking for. But you got to know what you want. I mean, I said to him, I said, I really want this to be kind of like a Formula 602 flat ride. And he kind of knew what I was going for. He knew the Now He Sings, Now He Sobs story of Roy Haynes and the 18-inch flat ride. By the way, I just watched the Chick Corea talking about those cymbals, and he had Roy Haynes' 602 flat. And I got to tell you, this is close. It's not. I mean, it's not a 602, but I think I could put it in with my Paistes and it's going to work. And I like it because it's got a little bit more cut than the other two flats. The 18s I have, the Paiste Signature, which is a Paiste traditional technically, and which is made of the Signature alloy, and then the other one being my Ed Thigpen flat. The Ed Thigpen was going after that Now He Sings, Now He Sobs kind of 602 kind of vibe there too. But both of those, because they're 18s, they don't have as much cut as this does. So anyhow, more to come on the flat ride and a video all about that. I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, this is a question from Sunrise Blues 5150. Hey Earl, just one quick question. Best snare wires for a Pearl 3.5x14 brass piccolo. What would you recommend based on your experience? How many strand wires should I get to get the best out of it? Thank you. All right. Now, I had a Pearl piccolo, brass piccolo. Now, the thing I remember about my Pearl brass piccolo, okay, was I had a free floater, so it had the extended 15-inch wires. So if this is just a regular old Pearl 3.5 by 14 brass piccolo with the non-extended wires, then here's the wires I recommend. Pure Sound are really good. Canopus are really good wires. I think for a piccolo, you're probably looking at 20 strands is probably what you want. You could go as high as 30, but I think 20 is just fine for a piccolo. My biggest problem with piccolo snare drums is when I'd hit it, I would break snares. So the Pearl snares would actually break off one at a time. It just kind of dropped down. I was beating the snot out of it. That's where I got my nickname, the Hammer, was that drum. So with that being said, I would say get a good, make sure you get it sized properly. Like I said, if it's a Pearl free floater piccolo with the extended snare wires, that's 15 inches. The normal 14-inch wires for a 14-inch drum. Canopus makes really great snares. I have them on my Black Beauty 6.5 by 14, and Pure Sound makes great snares. I've had them on a lot of my drums too. So Pure Sound or Canopus, or go with the Pearl standards that go with it. But 20 strands probably enough. I don't think you can get less than that. You might be able to get 16, but 20 is kind of the norm. I don't think you need the 42s. That's just too much snare for a little drum, and it's not going to really help you at all. So when you talk about a piccolo and the amount of attack and fast, you probably 20 strands is probably the limit you want to go with. Anyhow, thanks for the question. I only have two more things. One is not really a question, but I'm going to read this to you. This is really one of the things that really got me this month. I have a good friend. His name is Bruce Holiday. He was in my wedding. Our kids grew up together, that kind of thing. And Bruce asked me to play some more rock-oriented songs, rock-oriented. So he gave me a list of songs. He gave me the ELP song. He's asked me to play a Deep Purple song I haven't played yet. He asked me to play that song that had the Alvin Lee, the guitar player. I forget what the name of the band was that I was playing, but can't even remember the name of the song, but it had all the Vietnam footage in it. It was kind of a cool song. He asked me to play that one. And then he asked me to play a Molly Hatchet song, and I played the Molly Hatchet song, and I've got to say I wasn't quite there, but I couldn't go any further. And that's what I'm saying about these drum covers. It's like I get to a place and I spend an hour and 10 minutes in something, and that's as far as I can go with it at that point. I don't want to go back the next day and do it again. But I got called out. So this is the calling out message. His name is Stony Tokes. Okay. So he was digging my video, I guess, listening to my video, and he said, this is a tough one. Lots of tricky fills, double time during the solo, breakdown in the middle of that, coming back to the double time, into the stop before the last verse, the stop at the end. Some guys I've played with want to do this one. I've never got my performance of it to where I liked playing it and felt comfortable with it. He goes, how about you? At Earldrum, it looked like you were really psyching yourself up for the task ahead before that first fill. Well, here's what I wrote to him, and then I'll explain. I wrote, thanks for the feedback, my friend. I could have used a few more takes to get it closer, possibly. But to be honest, I wasn't sure anyone would listen past the first minute. This was a 7-minute song. You work on a 7-minute song, and you're trying to get it exact, and you're worried about the double time section, and this fill, and that fill. That's a lot of work. A 3-minute song's a lot of work, but 2-minute song's a lot of work sometimes. But you play a 7, 8-minute, 10-minute song, like this Chick Corea song I played today, you're never going to get it exact. And you may never even get it to where you wanted it. But you know what? You spend over an hour recording, and you go, that's as far as I'm taking it. I want to feel comfortable enough to let my stuff go and know that you guys know I gave it the effort. So I said to him, I said, this is a song that I would never get exact. By the way, I rarely get a song exact ever. But it's a great rocking jam. I might try it again someday. But that was all I had this weekend. That was it. Hopefully that's honest enough. I appreciate your question. Now, here's the reality. If I had to learn that for a band, I would have kept working on it. And I know I can nail that thing again. And I could probably watch myself playing it a few times, learn the song a little bit more deeply, and play it again. But then there's a side of me going, why? I'm not a mariachi guy. I mean, I can play that stuff. It's quite clear I can play that kind of music. But how far do I want to take things? And when I'm asked by a friend to do it, I take it seriously. So I gave it, and Bruce was quite happy with it. He thought it was great. He thought it was great when I did the Black Sabbath tune last year. He was the one who asked me for the Black Sabbath tune. He's asked me to do an Iron Maiden tune. By the way, I plan on doing these covers eventually. Matter of fact, I'm thinking about doing a Rush song. But it's the holy grail, man. The internet is mean to people who do Rush songs. And I know I'll never get Neil Peart exact because I don't even care to try to play like Neil Peart. Neil Peart is stiff, and I'm not stiff. That's the difference. I'm kind of a loosey-goosey guy. So I'm kind of loosey, jazzy. Neil Peart, he just seems so stiff to me when he plays. Oh, I just stepped on Neil Peart. Now I get the haters for that. But I don't care. It's like, I love Neil Peart. I love what he did. What he did is his thing. But we got to be able to take it to where we're going to take things. So what this comment did to me was it made me think, maybe this is what's kind of getting me, is that I feel like the pressure to try to get it right for everybody, when in actuality, what I want to do here is play my best and get your feedback. And if you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. I had a guy, he kind of ragged on me about my most famous video, drum cover video. It's Down Under by Men at Work. And I've got a lot of comments. I've got a lot of likes. And I got 46,000 views on that video. I played that video. I threw the Concert Tom kit together in that room. I remember recording it that day. It was in 2018. I put up a couple splash cymbals, some Sabians, and I remember I had a drumless track from YouTube, had no click on it, had no original drums, and I just played along with it like I was playing the song in my head, and like I thought about playing the song when I was watching the videos of it on MTV back when I was 20-something years old. And I just kept playing fill after fill and following the vocal. And that's how I stayed in time. And I was playing like really melodically all over the toms. And it was overkill. I totally overkilled that song. And I knew it. And I told people that. I think people liked it because I overkilled that song. I overplayed that song. But I get called out by this guy who's only, I can look at how many times you've written comments on my videos. This guy wrote comments on my videos 3 or 4 times. Every comment was negative. Every stinking comment was negative. There was not one encouraging word. So I wrote to him after getting that comment the other day, and I said, wow, did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed again? I mean, the guy's got nothing nice to say about anybody. Well, that's the internet. People don't have anything to say. You know, but I was in one of those particularly Earl moods, like not taking that kind of crap. So I kind of let him know in my own way that, you know, all the people liked it. If you didn't like it, that's fine. Don't watch me. I don't need you. I don't need people to watch me who don't want to watch me. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Matter of fact, I said to him, I said, I'm not the greatest drummer on the internet. Come on. There's so many guys that play circles around me. It's not even funny. But what I do is what I do. And those of you who like it, I thank you for liking it. Okay? But YouTube for me has got to be fun or I'm not doing it. And that's the bottom line to the whole thing. So I'm going to keep trying songs. And I'm going to keep trying to get better at songs. And every once in a while I'm going to whiff. And if I whiff, it's okay. You say, hey, man, that wasn't close. I get it. I'll agree with you probably. Like I did with this guy. But all I can say to you guys is keep working on it if you want to learn it. And if you have a purpose to learn it, you're going to learn it, you know? Keep working on it. Like I did this Light as a Feather Chick Corea tune today. I know I didn't play like Aerto, man. I can't play like Aerto, but I understood what he was doing. He was pulsing. And I decided I'm just going to pulse and play and go to samba when he goes to samba and pull back when he pulls back. And I know it's not going to be great, but I'm going to give it my best shot for 4 times. I spent an hour on it, you know. If you do a song that's 11 minutes 4 times, that's pretty close to an hour. It's like 50 minutes I spent on that song. So all that to say is that's what it's about, having fun. I had fun with it. Matter of fact, I had so much fun, I'm going to try another song off that album. I can't wait to try another song now. And I got the cymbals kind of sound good. I may put the Pisces up with the next time around. And the next time we Pisces with this flat ride. Because all these songs on the first Return to Forever album, Light as a Feather, have got that beautiful flat ride that Chick Corea loved. All right, my last question comes from my good friend Greg Oneoff, who's a faithful listener, loves what I do every day, writes some nice comments, kind comments. He goes, I was watching a video by Fitness Drummer, and he was setting up his new DW Exotic set, and he mentioned that he needed more microphones. All of a sudden it popped in my mind, why do drummers like me that just play for the enjoyment or for recording on YouTube even use microphones? Aren't the drums loud enough? Or are they so used to the drummer that can enhance the sound on his or her recording? This might be an Ask Earl Anything question. First off, Greg, when you're recording into a DAW, into a computer, you need microphones to get the sound into it. I don't have these mics on a PA system. Matter of fact, these mics, I can't even hear them without putting them in my ears. That's how I know they're on. I can hear, touch the mics and know they're on. So all the mics are just for recording. Now, how many mics do you need to record a drum kit? That depends on your preferences. This kit setup is set up for 8 mics, okay? I use 8 mics in there on the big concert tom kit. I just split them up. Some guys believe you should put a mic on every drum, you should put a mic on the ride cymbal, you should put a mic on the hi-hat, you should put overheads, you should put room mics. You could have 16, 20 mics if you want to. I find that just to be overkill for me. My sound comes from snare, kick, overheads. Toms are for the close punchiness. That's about it. And it works fine for my YouTube videos. I know how to get the sound I want. I'm still playing with it, by the way. I'm always playing with it. The other thing is, it's your touch that you're playing that the mics pick up. So you play to the microphones in your ears so you know you're not overplaying the mics. Which, when you're bashing on cymbals, you need to know how far you can go when you're bashing. The other thing is, a great recorded drum sound comes with a lighter touch, believe it or not. And that's something I needed to learn, because when I went to Nashville, did my first record, the engineer was all about smash that snare drum, smash that kick drum, and play your hi-hats and cymbals much more quiet. And what he was basically saying to me was, balance yourself out. In a rock tune, you want kick and snare to be loud, and you want the rest of it to be lighter. So play in a way where you balance it out. When you're playing jazz, you want the ride cymbal to come out, but you don't want the snare to be bang, 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 bang. You got to have a light touch with it. So it's a different vibe. When you're playing rim clicks, to get a great sound out of it, there's a certain way you touch the drum, where you touch the drum to get a sound. That is something I learned from doing a lot of recording on YouTube and a lot of recording with other people, is how to get a great sound out of drums. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm very quick, I record and I go, oh my gosh, I wish I put something on that snare drum, or I wish I thought about where that mic was, because I'm getting this weird honk I got to work with. But for the most part, microphones are just to record into your computer. And they're not so much to have it going through a PA system. So I know, Greg, you're actually playing in your room, listening to your music through a big PA system. You don't want to put your drums in with it. That'll drive you crazy. So you use microphones to record. That's the bottom line to this. I hope that helps, and hope that addresses it for you. But that guy's asking for more microphones. He's just basically saying he wants to have a more dialed-in sound. Some guys believe more microphones is better. And if you're really old school, you believe less microphones is better. So all depends on what way to do it. There's no right way to record drums, by the way. there are some great techniques to learn, but there's no one right way. There's a lot of different ways to do things. Just like there's not one right way to tune a drum or a snare drum. Okay, and there's not only one right cymbal sound. If we did that, we'd be vanilla. Okay, and that's not what we are. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about things. You know, think about getting your sound. I try to get my sound on. That's what that whole exercise was of the last question you asked me about. You know, what does it sound like without processing on it? You wanted to hear naked drums. I didn't like the naked drums, by the way. I thought the naked drums sounded naked to me. I like to mix my drums in the sound, and there's different ways to get mix your drums in. I'm working on some other things with that too, but it's constantly experimenting. I have a template I start with, but so I'm not stuck in it. I'll change things. I'll re-EQ the kick drum, re-EQ the snare drum, re-EQ the toms if I need to, use compression, not use compression, use reverb, not use reverb. All that stuff is subject to my ears the day I'm listening to it. So, of course, hard thing is you go from doing a drum cover to behind those speakers, and all of a sudden your perspective of what you're hearing isn't always right. So I don't always nail it on the first time either. Sometimes I listen to it, watch it synced up with the video, and I go, I don't like the mix, and then I go back and remix it. And all it is a few tweaks. It takes less than 5 minutes usually. I re-render it and I pop that one in the video, and it works better. So anyhow, that's it for Ask Earl Anything. So here's what you need to be looking for. Number one, couple things to you if you made it to the end. Share my videos, like my videos, that would be great. But nothing else. If you don't like them, if you can't like the videos, if you come, just leave a smiley face. You don't even have to write anything. I'll smiley face back at you and go, thanks for being here. If you want to write something, I'll try to write back to you. That's the other thing that's taking me more time these days. As some of you know, I'm so busy at work, I don't have time to fidutz around and just start writing long. I'll start one and then I'll stop. I'll get stopped by something, and then I'll have to come back to it hours later. So if you leave me little smiley faces or you want to say hi, that's great. You're probably going to see less content in the days ahead, but I have some content still stacked up. I'm going to kind of stop the alt takes for a while, and I'm just going to let things kind of rest. And I'm going to see if going to 3 or 4 times a week, maybe 5 times a week, is a better solution for me feeling better about what I'm doing. But if nothing else, no, I love all you guys, and I appreciate all your input, and I appreciate all your liking my videos and leaving comments and asking me to do stuff. Keep doing those things. That's fine. It's just going to take longer. That's all. All right? Anyhow, thanks for watching.